All right, so how can you watch Georgia and South Carolina play this week in the SEC? It's a season opener for the Dogs in the league. Same thing for South Carolina. Traditionally, big game to start the season, and it's been on CBS a lot through the years. It's going to be the last time this game is on CBS, and there are a lot of different ways to watch this game. All right, so we're going to stick with it here for a second. First of all, if you've got Spectrum, you were able to watch this the entire time, but certainly now that they've got ESPN and Disney figured out, your SEC season is saved. So you have the capability of watching any ESPN or Disney brand, ABC. Those are all live. However, of course, as I said earlier, this game is not on Disney. It is the number one game in the SEC this week. So that means it's the number one game on CBS. So CBS will have this streaming on Paramount, which I'm going to get to in a second. They're going to have it on all cable. But there's one thing y'all are forgetting about, particularly if you live in a city or, we're in East Athens. So we have to go through Stone Mountain to get antenna signal. But the vast majority of you can get this game for free. Just by putting an antenna up, particularly if you live I'm talking to a Georgia audience, I know, generally speaking, but if you live in Gwinnett County or closer, which is about 5 million of the people who live in Atlanta, you're probably fine with just sticking an antenna on the back of your TV. You can watch this game live. You'll see what's happening before everybody else. There are other ways to watch this game, and I'm not going to get any copyright strikes, so we're going to go real slow here as we do this live, for lack of a better term. Here is how to do this on your mobile phone, because a lot of you are mobile phone folks, so pay attention. Here we go. It's sideways. I don't know why it's sideways. But anyway, we're going to punch Paramount Plus right here. Here it comes, propagating the wrong way. It's going to be me watching this. You really just want to go to sports. When you go to sports, I'm sorry it's sideways. I can't correct that right now. It will just, day of game, you can watch it live. And that's what I would recommend doing, is just going to Paramount and punching that in there live. Now that's Paramount on your cell phone. On Paramount itself, this propagates correctly. See, here I am. Here's Paramount Plus. You can watch. I'm going to say yes. You can allow it to. It might not let you watch the game if you don't let it say where you're at, but just go to sports, and then you're going to say allow right there, and it will propagate right here. So I think the AFC game in this area are the Chiefs on Sunday. So it's already advertising that. So it will show, Champions League is live right now. SEC on CBS is live right now. So there's all sorts of, these are all soccer games for Champions League, which is another discussion for another time. The other thing that you can do is just punch this into your cable. Okay, now I am not going to, for copyright reasons, show CBS live, because it doesn't make sense for me to get a copyright strike for that. But you just go stick it up, an antenna, a cheap antenna will work. If you have cable, obviously you can just watch the game on CBS. So it's a big game. It's not a rivalry game. I know South Carolina views it that way, but in order for it to be rivalry, both teams would have to view it like that. And I am the arbiter of who is a rival and who is not at Georgia. I'm sorry. Nobody else will do it. I will. But on your Roku, you can do this as well. Like if you have a Fire Stick or something like that, just log into Paramount Plus. Roku also gives you the capability to watch this thing on your antenna, but you have to have an antenna. So get the thing up relatively high. But again, if you're watching, you're not from Atlanta or Savannah, you can just get an antenna and you will be fine. Now, starting next year, Georgia's going to be playing a lot of games on ABC. So Georgia this year, they're playing about, we know they're playing South Carolina. We know they're playing Florida. They're probably playing Auburn on CBS. They're probably playing Tennessee on CBS, and they're probably playing the SEC championship game on CBS. So you're looking at about 5 games, and they might be playing Ole Miss on CBS, which that would be 6 total games. Not quite half their season, but almost half the season. Put an antenna up. It's not expensive. I can show you the one I've got. It's on the top of our roof, and it works, particularly at night. Next year, when Georgia's playing on ABC, they're probably going to play 7 or 8 games on ABC. So it's even more important. So if you're someone younger than me, you don't have cable, all this stuff, then that's fine. If you want to watch the game in real time, if you want to watch multiple games in real time, ABC, CBS, Fox, particularly at noon to 3:30, NBC comes on board at night. Your antenna is going to work all the time, all the time. If you live in Augusta, if you live in, but if you live like in Hiwassee or Cleveland, you're in trouble. You're not getting an antenna up there. Too many mountains, too far away from Atlanta. I would say Lake Lanier, past that in the north, you're in trouble. You could point at Chattanooga, but it probably won't work. But important game for Georgia, number 1 team in the country, 4-touchdown favorite to beat South Carolina. We write about this over on Dog Post a lot. We appreciate everybody going over there. And, Georgia's a little bit banged up. I mean, that's the biggest thing for them right now is they are a banged up team, and they are trying to get where they want to go, which is, an undefeated season or at least one loss heading into Atlanta. There's nobody in the West that looks like they're better than Georgia, but I think you want to arrive in Atlanta without any confusion about if you're going to play in the playoff or not. So it takes a lot of pressure off that day. But these are the sort of game. If a game is on CBS, it's a big game. If a game is on CBS, that game matters. If it's Georgia, I can think through the years of Georgia Kentucky in 21. Georgia's playing with Kentucky on CBS a lot lately, and it shows the value of what Kentucky's done up there. Mark Stoops, but I said Mark Stoops, I meant Mike Stoops, but they've done a really good job up there. But this week, Georgia's going to have to control Spencer Rattler. Make sure South Carolina does not run at all. What would be pretty shocking is if South Carolina came out and ran the ball effectively against Georgia. Not one run, just effectively. Like they're going for 4.5 yards a carry. I just don't know if that's going to happen. And that really limits you, and that puts a lot of pressure on Spencer Rattler to do some stuff that, he's not great at some of this stuff. He's a very good playmaker, but I don't think you want him making a lot of plays. I think you want him doing easy open stuff if that's possible. Carson Beck the same way, but we don't talk about Carson Beck like we do Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler's out there, making plays. Carson Beck is, to me, staying within the offense, which is, if you're Georgia, probably the way you want to play this particular game. If you're Carson Beck and you wind up with 275 yards, you've thrown it 30 times, you have maybe an interception and a touchdown or two, Georgia's won this game. And they've won this game by probably a significant amount. I think that's what you want if you're the Dogs. If you're South Carolina, honestly, you would like for Spencer Rattler not to throw for 400 yards. That means you're just in real trouble the whole time. I want to see if Georgia can shorten this game with some running in the second half. We want to see if Dejon Edwards is going to be out there. I want to see how healthy Brock Bowers is. Is Lab McConkey going to play? What's the story with Javon Bullard? Georgia's got some issues on the injury front. That's a problem for them right now. It's not a huge problem, but it's a problem. And you don't want that if you can help it. But the rest of I said Bullard, but the rest of the defense, Ingram Dawkins is hurt. Other than that, they're really ready to roll. And I think that's important, y'all. You have to be ready to play these games. And, we've seen Georgia, I don't know about sleepwalk, but we've seen Georgia not play so hot their first 2 weeks, and they still won by astronomical amounts. I think they can do that this week, but I also think it's time to kind of get rolling a little bit. Florida State has shown you that they're dangerous. I think that Texas has quite clearly shown you not that they're dangerous in particular, but they are good and that they can get the job done. I think LSU has shown in the first half against Florida State, although they're prone to mistakes and they don't seem real deep, they do have a very good first 22 or first 44. They just do. They're good. In terms of, Alabama, they're going to need to invent a quarterback. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, USC has one of the most fabulous offenses I've seen in a very long time. But can all those teams play, a 4-quarter game against a Georgia team that is used to that? Well, that might not be the best way to put it, but that can certainly play that way because of their capabilities and depth. And a Georgia team that has done all of this before, a Georgia team that may or may not be challenged in the regular season. Everybody used to criticize Clemson, and still does, about who they played. Well, the ACC is much more competitive than it once was. And the SEC is not. I mean, it doesn't look that way. It looks like it's a very top-heavy league. Florida looks bad right now. South Carolina does not look good. So all those things are sort of whipping around the atmosphere. Georgia's got to start playing well. They got to go to Auburn. They've got to play, a legitimate SEC schedule soon. But it's not too late to start playing well. It's never too late to start playing well. And I think that what we've seen is that this machine is not like the last two machines. This machine is a slow grind. They're going to slow grind you. Maybe that's the wrong way to put it. But, 31 points in one quarter, that ends games, period. Everybody was freaking out about LSU coming back last year against Georgia. They scored 30-something points or whatever. They didn't do all that in the first half. That was in the second half, I feel like. And people were panicking about that. Georgia scored 31 points in a quarter last week. That wasn't the only time they scored. So, they scored, I think, there are only a couple quarters where they've not scored points. And there's only 2 quarters where they've allowed points. So, what I think, if you look at this thing and you're Georgia and you win this game coming up 35-10, or you win it 41-10, I think something like that is not out of the question. South Carolina is going to come out and execute at some point. Spencer Rattler's plenty good enough to get them down the field or hit a big ball. He's very good at hitting a big ball. And the one wide receiver they have, Leggett, is legit. He might be the best receiver they play this year. He's that good. He's as good as the Mississippi running back is running the ball. He is deadly. He is trouble. And that gives South Carolina some advantage. But if you cannot run the ball, it is hard to 3rd and 8 yourself to wins the whole game. You just cannot do that. You can't run around like, for lack of a better term, a chicken with your head cut off. You're not going to do that against this Georgia team. You can hit plays. South Carolina hit plays against Georgia last year. But the whole time, I don't know. You can watch this game on CBS. Kicks off at 3:30. Thanks for watching.